Okay, so what if art doesn't need a point? I mean, what if its only job is just to be beautiful? Sounds pretty simple, right? But believe me, this idea was an absolute revolution. Today, we're diving into the movement that completely flipped the script on creativity, art for art's sake. And we're going to kick things off with a real bombshell from the one and only Oscar Wilde. He said, "All art is quite useless." I mean, at first glance, that sounds like a total insult, doesn't it? But what if useless was actually the highest compliment he could possibly pay? What on earth did he mean by that? Well, that single, super provocative quote, it's the key to understanding this whole powerful movement. You see, this idea of uselessness, it wasn't about being worthless, not at all. It was all about freedom. And that right there brings us to the core concept, art for art's sake. So here's the deal. It's the philosophy that a piece of art shouldn't be judged on whether it, teaches you a lesson or supports some cause. Nope. Its only job is to create an aesthetic experience. Its value comes from its beauty, and its beauty alone. That's it. Okay, now, you gotta understand, this idea didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Oh no, it was a full-blown rebellion against the dominant culture of the late 19th century. So to really get the rebellion, you have to know what they were rebelling against. So picture the Victorian era, right? It's a time of massive industrial change, a lot of social anxiety. And in response, society just clung to this super rigid public morality. And art? Well, art had a very clear job. It was basically a tool for moral instruction. A painting, a novel, it was expected to promote virtue and social progress. Everything was all very proper. And this right here just perfectly illustrates the clash. On one side, you've got Victorian art, where the moral message is literally everything. And on the other, you have art for art's sake, which just throws all of that right out the window and says, no, 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 the artistic style, the beauty, the form, that is what's key. It was this huge, radical shift from asking, what does it teach me, to how does it make me feel?
So when you throw out all the old rules, what do? Well, you've got to create your own manifesto, right? A brand new set of principles for what makes art truly great. All right, let's break down the core principles here. First up, and this is the big one, beauty is the ultimate goal, period. That means art is officially off the hook from having to be some kind of moral teacher. And that, of course, leads to total artistic freedom, where creators don't have to answer to political or religious rules. From there, the whole focus shifts to style. How you say something becomes way more important than what you're saying. And finally, it all comes down to the sensory experience. Art should be about pleasure, luxury, and just pure sensation.
Of course, ideas are just ideas without the people who champion them, right? So let's meet some of the key figures who really brought this whole philosophy to life. The faces of the revolution. And where else could we possibly start but with Oscar Wilde? I mean, come on. With his legendary wit and that super flamboyant public persona, he was basically the perfect celebrity spokesperson for the movement. And the thing is, he didn't just write about it, he lived it. He turned his own life into a work of art. And his novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, is the absolute ultimate embodiment of this idea. It's this haunting story of a man who prizes beauty above everything else, completely separating it from morality. And you know that famous preface? It's basically the movement's mission statement, declaring right up front that art has no moral agenda. Okay, next up, we've got the thinker behind the scenes, a guy named Walter Pater. You could say that if Wilde was the star performer, Pater was the intellectual force who gave the whole movement its philosophical backbone. His work was all about encouraging people to live life intensely, to actively seek out beauty and powerful aesthetic experiences, not just in a gallery, but in every single moment. He basically argued that appreciating beauty was the highest form of living you could achieve. Now, the movement's influence didn't just stay in England. It crossed the channel over to France, and that's where we find the poet Charles Baudelaire. His work, wow, it perfectly and, often controversially, captured the whole spirit of this new artistic freedom. His poetry collection, Les Fleurs du Mal, or The Flowers of Evil, is just a perfect example. It's filled with this decadent, sensual, and sometimes pretty shocking imagery. But here's the key. It's all in service of creating a powerful aesthetic experience. It was a pure expression of artistic style taking priority over any kind of moral message. So as you can see, this wasn't just some fleeting trend. This rebellion had a massive, lasting impact, one that we can actually still feel today. Almost immediately, art for art's sake became the engine for other major movements. It was like a spark. The aesthetic movement, which is all about beauty and design and art, and the decadent movement, which really dove into themes of luxury and sensation. Both of them grew directly out of this core philosophy.
And what's really cool is you can draw a direct line from there to the art world of today. I mean, by freeing art from the duty of having a moral message, it totally paved the way for modernism. That's when artists really began to experiment freely with form, color, and subject matter. It literally laid the foundation for the artistic freedom that we kind of take for granted now.
So, what's the crucial takeaway from all this? Simple. Art for art's sake fundamentally changed the game. It made the argument, and it won, that beauty and artistic expression don't need an excuse to exist. They are valuable all on their own. And that leaves us with a question that people are still debating today. After everything we've gone through, I want to know what you think. Does art really need a purpose to have value? Or is its beauty enough?